Good morning here in the United States on the East Coast and a very early morning on the US West Coast. Good afternoon in Europe and good evening in China and in Asia. Very late evening. Good evening. My name is Olgierda Furmanek, and together with Professor Xuanmin from Guangxi University, I am co-chairing this 9th Asian Pacific Forum on Translation and Intercultural Studies. I am a professor of Spanish and the director of the Interpreting and Translation Graduate Program here at Wake Forest University. For us here at Wake Forest University, it is an honor and a great pleasure to host this 9th Asian Pacific Forum on Translation and Intercultural Studies jointly with Guangxi University and Tsinghua University. So now it is my great pleasure to introduce Professor Xuanmin, co-chair of the 9th Asian Pacific Forum on Translation and Intercultural Studies, but most importantly, the founder and the most important person of this forum for the last 10 years. Welcome, Professor. We really have great joy to see you, and thank you so much for joining us this late hour. Hello, yeah, welcome so much. We cordially welcome you to the forum that is finally taking place, and after 2 years of postponing. So great pleasure. So, Professor Xuanmin Luo is the Jinwu Scholar of Guangxi University. He is also the Dean of School of Foreign Languages and Literatures of Guangxi University and Chair Professor of Asian Institute of the University of Melbourne. He is also the President of the China Association of Comparative Studies between English and Chinese, and of course, editor-in-chief of the journal that is associated with this forum, that he is a founder of the journal as well, Asia Pacific Translation and Intercultural Studies with Routledge, the most prestigious editor in the field of translation and interpreting. So it's a very renowned and very prestigious journal. And he's also editor-in-chief of Interdisciplinary Translation Studies, another journal by Tsinghua University Press. He's the council member of both Australia Research Council and also Hong Kong Research Council and University Grant Committee. He has received numerous fellowships from American Council of Learned Societies, Salzburg Global Seminar, Summer Research Fellowship from Cambridge University, Fulbright Researchship. The list is endless, right? So many scholarships. So a very accomplished scholar, Professor Luo. And he's not only just a renowned scholar and very prolific publisher, he's also a translator himself, right? So practitioner and a theory person, right? How can you combine both things, right? That's the perfect combination because you can research and publish on what you do. So it's very credible, right, and trustworthy. So a renowned scholar and a practitioner, an applied scholar, a great educator. He has been invited to give academic lectures at more than 30 international renowned universities across all 5 continents, all the way from Europe to Australia, New Zealand, Asia, the US. So, and he has had many academic publications, of course, as a scholar, such as translation studies, translating China, translation and Chinese modernity, and more than a dozen of books. So I really admire you for being able to translate at the same time when you teach, when you publish, and then you are holding academic offices such as the dean. So it's amazing, it's incredible indeed. Mostly that you are able to still translate because we all always want to do what we teach about, but to find time to translate, it's really difficult. Professor Luo has also published over 100 journal articles in many journals and periodicals in China and across the world. He has been entitled to government-honored allowances and many other awards. So it's a great pleasure to hear from Professor Luo now about the history and the current situation as far as Asian Pacific Translation and Intercultural Studies Forum. And we know that this is an important moment because it's 10 years. It has been 10 years, right? So we are sharing this milestone because the first forum took place in May 2011 at the Tsinghua University, as a matter of fact. So great pleasure, welcome. We are so thrilled to have you with us here. And it's a very historical moment, as a matter of fact, celebrating this milestone of APFTIS Forum. So Professor Luo is a great example of the collaboration between trans-Pacific collaboration, as a matter of fact, and especially now between the US and China, which is very promising and a great joy. Welcome, and we are looking forward to hearing your report, Professor Luo, please.
Thank you, Ola. Thank you for your wonderful introduction. Now, dear co-chairman, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today we are gathering here to have our 9th Asia-Pacific Forum on Translation and Intercultural Studies. On behalf of the Executive Council of the Forum on Translation and Intercultural Studies, I would like to extend my convey my warm welcome to all the participants from different continents, from different nations, and from different universities, online or on the spot. Welcome to the forum site of Wake Forest University, a well-known university which has the strongest program in medical translation and interpretation in the world. The Asia-Pacific Forum of Translation and Intercultural Studies was founded in 2011, as just now Ola mentioned. So I still remember that in the first 10 years of the 21st century, I was deeply concerned with the situation that the translation studies in Asia was far lag behind. The United States has initiated a series and paid little attention to what other nations were doing, even those in North American continent. The European nations, due to its geographical reason, carry out a different kind of translation activities, establish different translation societies and associations so as to legitimize its actual existence. A lot of series, of course, for translation application were constructed. The United Kingdom, who treated itself not only part of Europe, of course, but Europe as part of the United Kingdom. So it was busy with translation studies with corpus and courses in training interpreters and translators. The whole Asia was silent damp. Japan used to be workshop of translation during the Meiji Reformation, which pushed Japan a great leap forward in the 19th century. But now it has no enthusiasm and in translation, not to mention translation studies. Though China has a long history of translation dating back to 2000 years ago and accumulated a lot of experience in translation, yet its translation activities were confined to Chinese mainland. Thus, to establish a forum to connect scholars from the West and the East, Asia and the Pacific regions to exchange the views on translation and cultural studies became a necessity. Since China was a nation with the largest number of scholars and students in translation program, it is a duty for Chinese scholars to take this responsibility. So the first Asia-Pacific Forum on Translation and Intercultural Studies was founded in 2011 in Hangzhou under the approval of China Ministry of Education. Its name on the documents were first the Tsinghua Asia-Pacific Forum on Translation and Intercultural Studies. Since then, the forum was held respectively at Portland State University in 2012, University of Melbourne in 2014, University of Durham in 2015, University of Hawaii in 2016, and UC Berkeley in 2017, and so as in 2018, and in Pudwan Institute of Technology in Thailand by the end of 2019. So today we have resumed our conference at North Carolina after 2 years of suspension due to the outbreak of COVID-19. Compared with previous 8 forums, our Tsinghua Guangxi Wake Forest University Forum becomes the first to be held during the time of COVID-19 pandemic. Despite of small scale and minimized number of participants, and even the absence of host university presidents or principal, this forum is really a unique one. It is like a fire on a small wood, small as it is, but it will pass on the fire to another wood again and again. Thus, we have its metaphorical significance because our translation and interpretation are in nature, passing and transmitting knowledge and culture from one language to another, from one country to another country. So the history of translation has been written during this long progression. So for this reason, I must give my sincere thanks to the organization committee and the leadership of Professor Ola and others. It was the constant efforts that has brought this event into reality. In retrospection, most of our forums were held in 100 top ranked universities in the world, except Pudwan Institute of Technology in Thailand 2 years ago. But that is a private Royal University, and the Minister of Education of Thailand sent a representative to deliver a welcome speech. So in the previous forums, we did have welcome speech given by Dean of School of Arts of Humanities at UC Berkeley, Vice President from Tsinghua University, Portland State University, University of Melbourne, University of Durham, SOAS, and the President of University of Hawaii. The forum has a dozen of keynote speeches given by those distinguished scholars like Lawrence Venuti, T.L. Hemmings, J. Mandi, Hong Susi, Mary Timosco, Luis Floto, Edwin Gantz, Michael Ham, Douglas Robinson, of course, including our 2 keynote speakers in this conference, okay, Anthony Peng and Denny Lee. So I mentioned this because I want to show all of our participants how popular, how important, how influential the Asia Pacific Forum of Translation and Intercultural Studies is. There are some criteria to test a mature international organization. I think at least 3. First, a well-established structure of the council members. Forums for regular international activities was the second, and journals affiliated with this association for the research papers. Fortunately, Asia Pacific Forum on Translation and Intercultural Studies can meet all these requirements. Obviously, the forum is firmly established and recognized in the world, and is growing up rapidly. We have a stable and a capable team of council members coming from China, Japan, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, Korea, Canada, Australia, United States, New Zealand, UK, China, and China's Hong Kong and Macau. So altogether, from 18 nations and regions, its members are full of passions for a common goal of promoting translation studies and cultural exchanges, not only in Asia Pacific region, but also in a global scale. At the moment, we have these institutes and the universities applying for the host of the 10th Asia Pacific Forum of Translation and Intercultural Studies. They are University of New South Wales in Australia, University of Granada in Spain, University of Montana in USA, and University of Warwick in UK, besides a couple of Chinese universities. Now, the final decision is that the 10th forum is to be held in Sydney by the end of 2022. This is a decision made by the executive committee. We have reasons to believe that Asia Pacific Forum of Translation and Intercultural Studies will have sound and sustainable development in the following years with common goals and themes. The inaugural issue of the forum's official journal, Asia Pacific Translation and Intercultural Studies, was published in 2014 by Routledge, Taylor, and Francis Group. With the combined efforts of all the parties, the journal receives striking for text download figures. According to the annual publishing reports provided by Routledge, the 4 text downloads figures have already ranked among the top 3 among the journals in the field of linguistics and translation studies published by Routledge. The journal was included in ESCI in 2021. Its sister journal, Asia Pacific Interdisciplinary Translation Studies, published by Tsinghua University Press, was a bilingual peer-reviewed journal which provides a translation platform for Asia Pacific scholars to present researchers in translation and intercultural studies, promote the cultural and academic exchanges among Western and Eastern scholars, provide a platform for dialogues between the East and the West. The last but not the least, to encourage more young people to have best performance in the conference organized by Asia Pacific Forum of Translation Intercultural Studies, we set up a award for papers of presentations of the excellence. Young scholars will be chosen among the candidates under the age of 14 to give a full paper competing for the 3 awards before the judges from different nations among the academic committees. The criteria consists of 5: innovation, creativity, methodology, oral presentation, argumentation, and relevance. I hope to see the 3 young people to get these awards very soon. Now, next, please allow me to express a sincere thanks to our distinguished keynote speakers, Professor Anthony Pim from University of Melbourne, Professor Decho Lee from Hong Kong Polytechnic University. I give my thanks to all the people from the Wake Forest University promoting this forum. And finally, I'd like to express my heartfelt thanks on behalf of everyone here to Guangxi University for its general financial support. The university lies in the south part of China. It is passionate, innovative, energetic, and creative. its School of Foreign Languages and Literatures is now growing to be the headquarters of the languages, literature, and translation in the southwest region of China. Finally, I wish our conference a great success. Wish all the participants have wonderful performance and in good health. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Luo, for those uplifting and full of hope words and heartwarming words. We do hope that this is going to be the beginning of the revival of the conference, right? Just a small beginning, a beginning again, new beginnings, and very hopeful, and that we will be passing the baton again now to Australia and around the world, so that it will regain its prestige and stature. So we are hoping for a new beginnings. So thank you so much. Yes, we hope so too. Yeah, we are really proud to be part of this chain, to be part of the family of APFTIS, right? So now we are starting a new decade, right? A new decade of everything. Yeah, very, very hopeful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we are going to have 5 minutes break before we welcome our prestigious keynote speaker, Professor Li, at 9 o'clock. So thank you again, and have a good evening, Professor Luo.